Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. J, for inviting me to do this. And I just really appreciate Holston Communication taking the initiative to bring AI into focus, for us in the church and for ministry. So, and of course, thank you to everyone who is here and who will be watching later. Well, I know your time is valuable, and I appreciate you being here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go over some introductory types of things. I know that AI can be a little, I hesitate to use the word scary. It's sort of unfamiliar. It like all of a sudden, one day, everything was about AI. It came out of nowhere. And now it's in, all kinds of products and it's just all over the place. And so, as consumers, that's what I teach, by the way, at ETSU digital marketing. So I kind of come from a background of consumer behavior and all of that. But with products and all of these things. What do we do with this information? Should we be scared of it? Are there bad things going to happen? What are the good things about it? But so I'm going to go over some basics tonight. We obviously, for the scope of this webinar, it gets a little more complicated, but I hopefully will be able to give you a few things for you to chew on, some food for thought, and we can go from there. And I'll go at the end, and we'll have some questions, and Tim's going to monitor the chat, and we'll just take it from there. So, all right. So you are more than welcome to enter the chat at any point, but if you would like, we can start it off by telling me or put it in the chat what your idea of AI even is. If you had to describe it, what would it be? Could you do that in one word? What is the word that you would use? Um, what does AI evoke for you at this point? So you're more than welcome to put that in the chat, but your digital assistant, yes, Tim, I totally agree. And we will mention that. Inspiration, that's very good, Gail. Very good. Curiosity, totally, totally, absolutely. Okay, and helpful tool that you don't know how to, I totally understand that as well. Opportunity, yay, thanks, Michael. So basically, and y'all can keep on with that, but we'll start with the definition of what AI actually is. Now, there's a lot out there, but this is the one that I tend to use with my students. That artificial intelligence is technology that enables computers and machines to simulate, there's the key word, simulate human learning, comprehension, problem solving, decision making, creativity, and autonomy. Now, there's a couple of things in there that you did not hear. All right, so this is a crucial point. It's missing context. AI does not have context. It doesn't have judgment. It does not have ethics. I teach a course in digital marketing ethics, and we talk about that. It does not have emotional intelligence yet, and it doesn't have any common sense. So any of y'all who use AI know that these things are just not there quite yet. But if you think about it in the life of AI, if AI was a human, we're still in toddler stage. All right. It has its blow ups, it has its good times, it has its bad times, all the things really. But so we're still in the early stages of all of this. But here's the thing, you probably use AI every day, whether you know it or not. Some of you do realize that you do. Some of you don't. So let me clarify this. There are different types of AI. Basically, there's three, okay? Narrow, general, and super. Okay. So with narrow, these are the ones I'm afraid to say it really loud because there's about 5 different devices in here that will come on if I say it, but SIRI. Okay. If I said that, that is an example of narrow AI. It's just real simple. It's like the one that's on your phone. SIRI, set an alarm for me. Okay, so you might already use that. You may also use it like if you're on Amazon and it gives you recommendations. That's generated by AI, but it's really simple, kind of task-oriented things. And that's what a lot of AI is right now. But then if you move up a step, that's general. general AI. It's not much more than theory right now. They're working on it, but we don't see it on a mass scale at this point. General has the ability, excuse me, to learn and apply what it has learned. Okay, it has better application. An example that I use is a self-driving car, which don't really work that great yet, but it has the ability not to just drive, but to the ability to anticipate somebody pulling out in front of you, kind of thing. All right, so it's got that complex layer to it. Siri didn't understand your accent, Alabama accent. Yeah. And then the last one there is super. And super is the one that's just theoretical right now. This is the one that you hear about that where AI is going to take over the world and kill us all and that kind of stuff. That is when AI has the capability to surpass human intelligence with reason and thinking ability. But again, that's totally theoretical right now. But most of it, we're still sitting in that narrow AI, so don't worry about it. People tend to ask me, who have basic knowledge about AI, where does it get its information? Where is all this coming from? Is it just pulling it out of the air? Kinda, a little bit, kinda not. So where AI tends to get its information is vast amounts of data from websites, from databases, users themselves, social media, the government. So it pulls in all kinds of information and it learns from those. And it's able to find patterns. Again, it doesn't have a lot of context, but it can spit out all this information that it's grabbing. Okay. And there's not just one form of AI, like one place it's all coming from. There are different AI models. Chat GPT is one you've probably heard of. It's sort of like a brand in a way. You may have heard of Claude, or Microsoft has Copilot that's probably sitting on your email right now. So all of those are different forms of AI. But again, it's pulling in. Perplexity is the new one. Yep. Yep. So see, we have a whole bunch coming up all the time. It's pretty hard to keep up with, even those of us who study it and of us who use it. Still, yeah, and Meta, absolutely. It's tough to keep up with. But so that information is used to train the model, to train the AI, like ChatGPT or whatever. It learns patterns. So in other words, the more data that AI is trained on, the more it's going to know. And it continues to learn, the more comprehensive its knowledge base is becoming. Now you're probably going, well, is everything that it's learning accurate? No, that's part of the problem. There's a lot of misinformation and disinformation that ends up in these models. So that's why you have to, to know the difference. But AI is used in business. It's used in education, medicine. Yeah, it's just like how humans learn totally. All kinds of industries, including church. And there's all kinds of new jobs that are coming from this. Here's some of them. Get this, that they are new fields are like AI meditated communication, prompt engineering. We're going to mention that here in a second. Content creation, AI ethicists. So there are these really cool jobs that are coming out. I'm pretty excited about them. Even at ETSU, and I'm in the business school, and we are training our students to make sure that they know how to use it ethically. I have seen some unethical use already in some of my courses, mainly with my undergraduates, but in general, we are making sure that our students are equipped with this skill. My graduate students who are digital marketing practitioners, they are saying, we're not hiring people marketing. We are not hiring marketing people unless they know how to use AI in some form. So we think at ETSU it's got to happen. All right, so let's slightly shift into with AI and the church, because that's why we're here. And so I thought about a few ways, how AI is infiltrating, ministry and the church in general, and some big ideas sort of hit me. And one of those is the moral obligation that we have. Um, we don't have to go very far for us in United Methodism to see where we've addressed this in a way. Our book of resolutions is the very first one. I won't go through all of those because you can find them, but some of the ones that are in the book of resolutions, for example, proper use on page 696, that has to do with communication and technology. It says, the access information is a human right and essential to human dignity and to a just and democratic society. We've also mentioned that on page 697, God is a communicating God. And on page 699, see, it's all over the place. On page 699, advocate for uses of media and communication technologies that promote peace, understanding, cooperation, and oppose media that encourages violence. So no, it doesn't specifically mention the word AI, but we have definitely in the United Methodist Church addressed communication and media and ethical use of it. And then I thought of some other, big main ideas of how, AI is showing up in the church. And one of these ways, of course, is communication. Like I said, we're reaching people. We have the opportunity to reach people with relevant technologies and church teachings via that technology. I also thought about those of you who went to seminary or are in seminary, teaching AI in seminary. How would that look? So if you did go to seminary, think back for a moment and how would things have changed for you if in your classes that you had a class on, AI and ministry, and how we're teaching those things, how theology may be different, impact on teaching theology. So it's kind of fun to think about. And then the other one that I thought about is evangelization. Um, it's no different than how we've been disseminating information via TV, radio, all those things. Let me tell you about this is really interesting. The Catholic Church recently, I just read about this. Maybe you did, I don't know. But the Catholic Church has been very vocal with AI. They have had summits and meetings, and they've gotten all their people together, sort of like our Council of Bishops kind of thing. And they've talked about AI and how we're going to use it. And so the Pope recently pushed for ethical use of AI. He talked about it as an international treaty and collaborative effort. So the Catholic Church did this interesting experiment. They did it in Switzerland, and it was for 2 months. And the participants were aged mainly 40 to 70. And what they had them do was they went into a confessional, all right, and where usually the priest will sit behind the lattice. There was an AI generated Jesus, which they called a Jesus-like persona. Okay. And what they had them do was just talk to this Jesus. Okay. And here's some just main findings that they came up with. Participants found it to evoke deep thought for them, for the participants, and found it easy to use. So it made them think a little bit, which was wonderful. It found that most people talked to it in a very serious way and didn't see it as a joke. Like, you would think some people going, let's try to make Jesus say something. I don't know. But they didn't. They took this very seriously. The researchers did not see it as a replacement for sacramental confession with a priest, of course. What they did was they meant to explore the intersection between the digital and the divine. So this is just a way that we are first starting to experiment what is ethical, what is not ethical, but gosh, what if we got to people in a different way? Whether AI Jesus is or not, but they have tried it. So you're more than welcome. I'll take a pause here that if you'd like to put anything in the chat about what you think the moral obligations are of the church. I think we're still in big picture here. What should we be saying? The secular world is very vocal out there about what's on AI and all those things, but what about the church? Just some of the ideas. Is it the church's responsibility to be a thought leader with AI? Do you have an individual responsibility as a United Methodist pastor or laity member or whatever that you are to be a moral leader with AI? What do you think about that? Again, you're more than welcome to put those things in the chat. Anything there so far, Tim? I'm going to take a quick drink here.
Not yet. I think you got them stumped with AI Jesus. I didn't know you were going to talk about AI Jesus now.
Just read about it. Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible. I thought about what I would do if I went in there and I came face to face with Jesus. I don't know. It'd be sort of like, when I've met famous people, I freeze, like I can't talk. I can't, I don't know if that's what would happen. I don't know. But maybe it would be a really comforting thing, possibly. But yeah, it's something very, very interesting to think about. All right. Now let's shift gears, because part of the reason that I assume that you're here is how can AI, were you about to say something, Tim? I thought you were saying something.
No, 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 no,
Okay,
no,
I'm
no.
sorry.
Go.
I'm sorry. I thought I heard something there. Of ways that you can use AI in your own ministry. Now we all have, I'm sure with all of us in here that it's pretty diverse as far as some people who have never even tried it, to maybe some of us who have used, yeah, it is only a tool. That's exactly right. Um, those of us who have more experience with it, but everybody can still use it in some form or another. So let me bring up a couple of things here. I want to show you my own chat GPT. So I'm going to share my screen here and hopefully this will work here. Let me get to my other screen. Hold on. Okay. Hopefully you can see that. You see that, Tim? Can you see a chat GPT? Okay, thumbs up. Very
Yes.
good. All
Yes.
right, so where is chat GPT? Where to get it? Again, this is the model that I tend to use. Like I said, there's a whole bunch out there. I just like chat GPT right now. You can get to it a few ways. As you can see at the top there, chatgpt.com. That's probably one of the easier ways to do it. There are free version. There's a free version. There are actually different versions, pricing wise. There's a free one, and then there's one called Plus, which is the one I'm on. It's $20 a month. And then there's a super duper one that's $200 a month that I have not gone with yet. But the differences mainly have to do with what it allows you to do. There's a really cool feature in that $200 one. Like I said, I haven't gone there yet, called Operator. And Operator basically allows what Chat GPT will do is open its own browser and do the task for you. So let's say I'm getting ready to, for example, take a trip to London next month. I need a hotel and blah, blah, blah. So you tell it that and it'll do everything. You do not have to do a thing. So if you're a travel agent, you may want to consider a different job because chat may come after that job. It's not coming after all of our jobs, but that is one. But no, but really, so there are different versions, but anybody can get a free version. You can get the app on your phone, or you can do about it this way. It's very easy to sign up, and so this is what it would basically look like. Like I said, I'm on the Plus version, so I have a little bit more access to a better model, as in the language model. Basically, that means it gives me more information than just than the free version. I have access to more accurate sometimes it'll answer the tougher questions kind of thing. So what you can see here, and you can see on the left hand where all my queries that I have I've done. But you can use this. I don't know why that just did that. You can do basically anything right here that you can ask it to write you an email. You could, I write a lot of reference letters, and I don't know that I'll ever have to write another reference letter again from scratch because this one generates it really well. Let me show you just an example here. I pre-wrote a couple of things to stick in here to help us out of time. So here's one. Please draft an email to send to my congregation letting them know about our upcoming Ash Wednesday service. All right. So again, this is just that basic narrow AI, and it's saying, okay, as you can see, here's what it's writing. Ta-da! Now, you can take it at face value right here, or you could fix it. You could continue talking down here, see where it says write something. You could say, okay, I need this to be a little longer, and it'll redo it. Or I need this to include blah, 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 and it'll keep doing it. So it's pretty good. I mean, it doesn't, this meaningful time of worship will mark the beginning of our Lenten journey together. So, but again, I didn't give it much context there. I didn't say I'm United Methodist. I didn't say, those types of things. But, if you're looking for a basic, just email, there you go. I think that's a really, really good way. Smaller churches can use it. Well, bigger churches can use it, but smaller churches like I'm from, without the resources, this is very helpful. This is very helpful. So these everyday types of tasks is one way that you can use AI. Now, I will also say with this that prompt engineering. Okay, so just a second ago, I showed you what my prompt was. Please draft an email to send to my congregation, letting them know. Okay, very basic. Okay, and so there are different types of prompt engineering. Now, prompt engineering could be its own webinar. Okay, it is a very different beast, but let me give you the basic idea. The prompt engineering, the definition is the instructions that you give to to AI to get the best possible outcomes. And there's 3 different kinds. This is fascinating, y'all. This is totally fascinating. The first kind is conversational. And that is a simple task. That's exactly what we did right there. That is a conversational prompt engineering. Nothing much to it. It could be SIRI, set me an alarm, whatever. That is it. The second kind is structured. A structured prompt is now you are going to start giving it context. You are going to start giving it a tone, a focus. I wrote one down here. This is too long to type in right now, but see how this gets a little more clear. Here's what I would say to AI. Analyze the branding strategy of the United Methodist Church over the last 3 years. Provide a detailed summary of online metrics such as conversion rate and bounce rate. Show me this in a chart form with labels and give an executive summary and make sure the executive summary is 200 words or less. Whoa. So you can get a lot more complicated and you can keep going with whatever you want it to say. And then the last one, and this is the one I am most interested in right now, it's called emotional. And you think, wait a minute, AI is not emotional. And you're right. But this is where you start getting on a personal level with AI. Let's say with that same prompt that I just said about the branding strategy. You could say at the end of it, I need this for a very important report that or a presentation that I'm going to give tomorrow. I know you're going to do a good job on giving me what I need here. Or you could say, let's say that you are talking to AI and you say, what is the weather we'll go back to London since that's what I said. What is the weather going to be in London next week? Or you could say, what is the weather going to be in London next week? Because I'm planning my dream vacation and this is really important for me. And this is an anniversary trip. And, you could start getting emotional with it. And what it does is it'll give you a slightly different response because all of a sudden you are asking AI, you're giving it encouragement. You're, giving it some urgency and accountability. So you can start with narrow, and then you get a little more complex with your structured, or you can get emotional with it. And I have found this to be extremely interesting as far as the emotional responses that it'll give. So, all right, so in the sake of time, I'll keep moving. But okay, so that's one way that you can use AI in your ministry is just everyday tasks. And if you've never used AI before, just get your feet wet. Just get in there, get on ChatGPT, get or whichever one you want, and get a free version and just start playing with it. And I think that's plenty. That's totally fine. The second way that you can use it is as a brainstorming tool. I use it all the time for that. And this is idea generation about anything, community outreach or activities, finding out about church trends, whatever. Say you need some help on music for a service or a kids something activity at the church. So another prompt that I made up before this. Hold on just a second. Let me bring it up here. You could use it for something like this. Let me give it another prompt here. And it's going to probably get confused because I'm moving on to something different. But all right, so as it says there at the bottom, and this is idea generation, remember, or brainstorming. I'm a certified lay minister in the United Methodist Church. See, I gave it some context. I'm developing our upcoming Ash Wednesday service. Our church has about 50 members, but I expect there to be about half that will attend this. The service is at 6 o'clock, needs to last 45 minutes. Please suggest an order of service with United Methodist traditions, including the offering of ashes. I need some hymns, and I want them both by Charles Wesley. This is a very important service. See, there's where I brought the emotion. This is important. Now, see that last sentence there. Ask me questions before you answer. I got that piece of advice one time that if you add that on the end, well, I'll just show you what it does. It'll say, oh, this is one. See, look, it's getting excited. That sounds like a beautiful service. Um, Here's a few questions I want to ask you before I generate my answer. And so it wants to know about the tone and the focus. It wants to know some of these lecture. Are these good? Is this okay? Do you want a formal prayer style, the hymn style? So as you can see, once I have a better sense of your preferences, I can do this just a little bit better. And it says, how does that sound? I have found myself and Tim and I have talked about this before, is that I've almost I do talk to AI just like I'm talking to you right now. Um, I have it on my phone. I have had full-blown conversations with AI, and it's useful in many cases. Now, sometimes it doesn't give me what I want, but a lot of times I have done that. And it's been useful. But as you can see, you could keep going with this. I could answer these, and then it would give me a nice order of service. And you can take from it what you want. You don't have to use it exactly, but gosh, that sure helps, you know. Um, all right, so that's a brainstorming tool, just an example. Another one, here's your third one, personalization mechanism. We're seeing a lot of this, especially in marketing, moving forward in 2025. What AI can do is make things a little more personal. It doesn't seem like AI would be personal, but it can be. AI can spot trends. Like, for example, what are users looking at most on your church Facebook page? For example, what day of the month is the giving the lowest? It can find these trends for you. I know Excel can do that as well, right? But AI can do it probably better, most likely. How can you use personalization to better respond? to your congregational needs. So another one I thought of to make this personal, I'll give you another prompt here. Okay, here's my prompt. And this is personalization. I'm leading a Bible study in my church, which is United Methodist. Please design a 3-week Bible study on the book of Ruth. There'll be about 15 participants there, and all of them are over the age of 50. I would like it to contain the United Methodist principle of grace and kindness somewhere in the study. Ask me questions before you answer. So in the sake of time, I'm going to take this off, but usually you saw what it could do. All right, so let's see what it comes up with here. Oh, see, it's got the Wesleyan themes. It knows, doesn't it? All right, so here's session 1 where we talk about our prevenient grace. We talk about, it's giving me some discussion questions. Did I say? Okay. So it also, you can say, I prefer, a certain Bible translation. You could have put that in there. It gives me, again, discussion questions, a prayer prompt. Here's session 2. We've moved to justifying grace, and the last one is sanctifying. All right. So it's giving me some other ideas as well. Does this plan sound good to you? Do you want a handout? I can make a handout saying, yay, that's wonderful. So, okay, so let's, all that. But to personalize that, let me type in here. This is great, but now redo the study for a Gen Z population. Make sure, I'm a bad typist, y'all. Make sure you use their language. As a Gen Xer, and some of us who are older than that, the Gen Z talking is a little different, isn't it? All right, so yeah, I made a typo in there. Absolutely. Here's a reworked version. All right, so we've changed it a little bit. God's got you, even when life falls apart. So we're talking in that language. Now they've put a hashtag in here. That's kindness is a superpower. Ruth is hustling, grinding to survive. Isn't that impressive? And then the last one there, new beginnings hit different. So see, you're talking their talk, and that's wonderful. Challenge for the week that even new, create a TikTok reel, a TikTok or a reel. Shout them out. Add these for Gen Z energy. That's great. So that's what I mean by personalization. And you could make that as tailored as you need to. Some other things under personalization, appeals for giving, possibly. So think about your congregation right now and how you could use something like that to really speak to them and engage them in a way that you maybe have not been able to before. I'll give you one example real fast. This is just one that I use in my class of how I use personalization. This is what my class looks like. I teach online. And as you can see right here, I use AI. I have a chat bot embedded on all of my classes. That's my version of me, by the way, that AI generated. I got that off of Apple actually has something called Image Playground, and it will generate that image. But so what they
You've you've got a little cross between Dr. P and Hermione going on there.
ooh, I'll take it. I'll take it. But this is really cool because they can go in and ask me questions that has to do with the class. I mean, some of them will get in there and try to, ask me about my golf game or something, and it won't answer. But I have built this chat bot from the back end, inputting all of my syllabus, the lectures, all of the information. So that's what we were talking about earlier. That information that's going in, is it accurate? Right? If it is, then you're going to get, good information out. I have control over this chat bot. I don't have control over Chat GPT. So, but anyway, so that's kind of how I've been able to work with my students in that way. It's been interesting. Some of them have gotten, see, I can go in and see what they've asked. It's anonymous. I can't see who's asked what, but some of them will get cute and start, one of them actually asked me, it's a famous line from a movie. And the question was, what is the meaning of life, the universe, and everything? Some of you may know that. It's from the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. The answer is 42, if that makes any sense to anybody on this call. But so sometimes they'll do that stuff, but it's still fun. Okay, so far we've had the different types of how we can use this in our ministry. Again, personalization mechanism. And then the last one, you can see chat or AI or whatever as a partner, believe it or not. You can use this with content creation. Let me show you a couple of examples. This is a video. Bring your ideas to life. A lot of my students use this. I promise you do not have to be 18 years old or somebody very young to get this. But it's fairly easy of how to just make quick videos. See, it's showing you here just as a little highlight. Generate this video, translate into Spanish, put this in it, put that in it. And it makes a video for you. Now, I have learned something like this is better for short form video, things that are maybe 3 minutes and less, 5 minutes and less. But that's an example of how you can use AI as a partner. Another one that's good, there's one called Munch. There's a little creepy, whatever that is. But a lot of companies, a lot of brands use that. There's one, now, to be totally honest, I have not tried this one yet. I only heard about it, and I want to say I heard about this on Ryan Dunn's. He's one of the podcasters for United Methodist Church. I want to say he used this or mentioned it. It's called Pastors AI. And this is for you pastors out there that you have sermon repurposing, that you can put together clips and get them out there on your social media. Again, this is one that he said, or wherever I read this, that it wasn't difficult to do. Why not repurpose what you're talking about? You should. You absolutely should. So one other one that I'll show you real quick is that I didn't bring up. Let's see. Canva. All right, so Canva is one you might have heard of. This is one that a lot of people use. There is AI built into this. This is my version. I have the pro version because I use it for my church. But the way that it's integrated is, and again, you can sign up for a free version, but there's something called Dream Lab on here. What will you imagine today? So this is generated by AI. As you can see this, little symbol there. Let's see, church people eating supper. Okay, you're getting ready to have some sort of event. There's going to be food. Let's see if it's going to create anything right now. Okay, so it gave me a few there. Not bad. And what's interesting, you have to watch it sometimes because you might have heard about images that AI will create where people have like 10 fingers and they're just these really weird images. So these are not perfected, but they're a good start. They're a good start. You just have to watch those types of things. So Canva is another very simple one. Again, it's another one of those to just get in there, dive in, and just see what you come up with. All right. So those are some just general ways. Research assistants, integrate it with your digital ministries. You can use it in many ways. All right. So I have one more thing to show you, and then we're gonna move on to questions and things like that. But let me get back to, let's see, let's just get back to chat for a moment. No, we're going to go over here. Let me find something else. Okay, so let me say this. Oh, you might have seen, I want to show you a quick commercial. It's not even a minute, about a minute long. And you probably saw it over the holiday season. It was from Coke. It was their holiday ad. And so again, coming from marketing, this was a fascinating ad because it was 100% AI generated. And what you'll see, well, how about I just play it first? We'll go there first, and then I can say a couple things about it. So here we have it. Now, one thing you'll notice, if you blink, you'll miss it. But right here in the bottom corner, you'll notice where they have put a label that said, this is brought to you by so-and-so AI. You're going to start to see that more often from brands and, those types of things, because at least the ethical ones who will say, we generated this with AI, just so the consumer knows. So let me bring this up here. If you can't hear the sound, don't worry about it. You can just watch. Okay, so what is fascinating about there's your label there, created by Real Magic AI. What you saw in that, coming from a marketing standpoint and looking at the back end of this commercial, it is just like a marketing genius feat. It is unreal what it took to get to this. Okay. The technology is amazing. You saw the iconic bears, you saw, several iconic nostalgias in there. It's Coke. Coke is a brand that has a brand story of just happy, right? And we've known this for years. Those of us who are old enough to remember the Teach the World to Sing commercial, and it's been going since, that it's just been a very happy, good feeling brand. And what is amazing to me is that they were able to generate that again with a 100% AI generated ad. Okay. They're able to generate the same feeling that they always have, with this different medium. So the technology is incredible, but here's the thing: it's the human who thought it up. So yes, the human is the one that had to get to this point, who had to do the prompt engineering, who had to imagine this commercial, who had to have the soul and the common sense and the context of how to make this commercial work. They had to have the knowledge and the expertise to do it too. It didn't just come about. So in my opinion, this is why, um, for us in ministry, those of us in the United Methodist Church, that we have the opportunity, because we're in a way, we're a brand, um, that you as pastors, all of us, have this expertise, we have this training, we have this knowledge, that we too can generate this. Yes, use the AI just like Coke did. Um, but we're the ones that still have that creativity and the soul and the, all of those things, that God has called us to do. So why not use AI to to help us out? But yes, I'm fully convinced that, we can give, moral grounding, ethical grounding, um, do our best to get rid of the disinformation, the misinformation that's out there. So I'll wind this up by, I think you'll appreciate this. I asked AI earlier what John Wesley would think about AI, and it gave me a whole bunch, but I'll just read one of them to you of what it told me. It said that, it titled it "The Role of AI in Sanctification." Wesley's theology centered on sanctification, which is growing in love and holiness. He might see AI as a tool to assist in this process, such as the personalized spiritual plan or providing access to theological resources. Okay. However, he would likely warn against over reliance on AI for spiritual matters, emphasizing that true transformation requires the work of the Holy Spirit and human accountability. Isn't that great? So, again, I do think that the United Methodist Church can be a part, must be a part of shaping AI for the use, for humanity, and to be able to be that moral compass. The technology is great, but the human is still behind it. So thank goodness, right? All right, folks. So that's what I have for now. So I'm glad to open it up. If there's anything in the chat, however you want to go about it, looks like we have about 10 minutes or so. So we'll go
Yeah, we've
from
got several questions over here. The first one, how will educators be able to, my chat's blocking it, be able to be sure that papers that students turn in are their own work and
Mm,
not from an app like ChatGPT?
yeah, I'm telling you, that is the million-dollar question. There are software. There's one called Turnitin that does a decent job, but it's not a great job. And so, for example, some schools have actually turned off the AI um, detector in Turnitin because it's either hallucinating, which by the way, there's another term. AI can hallucinate. It just makes up stuff. It my own chatbot has hallucinated before. Um, and so you could possibly accuse a student when they shouldn't have been. So, but like I said, I have, yeah, false positive. That's exactly right. So, again, there's the human still knows better kind of thing, but it's tough. I wish I had a better answer for that. But like I said, I have used AI long enough that when I have seen, um, a student basically cut and paste something straight in from it, didn't even change the format, y'all. They should have, they would just change the format of what it looked like, maybe. But, what's interesting is that if you just start entering things, the language will become dry. It will become very much the same, and it loses the soul of the student and their tone. So it's up to me to understand my students as much as possible. But yeah, it's something that academians are certainly concerned with. But thankfully, in public schools, K through 12, and some in college too, we are teaching our students media literacy and ethical use of AI. And I think that is catching on because so a lot of students will also say this was generated by AI. I have an AI policy on my syllabus, so we do address it in that way.
I've got another one here. How can AI be used to understand demographic information proved by, or maybe provided by conference for individual churches?
Mm, that's really good. So yeah, so like I said, AI is good at spitting out all kinds of patterns and trends and that type of thing. You'd have to get a hold of a data set. You may have a good data set sitting on your Facebook page. There's a wealth of data messing around in there, or any of your social media that you happen to have, website hits, if you have that information, those types of analytics. Maybe the person at your church, whoever's in charge of that, could look at some of those analytics, put them right there into AI and say, give me, X, whatever you want. You're able to, in Chat GPT anyway. I did this just the other day. As academics, we have to read 50-page papers sometimes. I put in, it was a journal article, the PDF in there, said, give me a summary of this. You see, so it's able to take documents and PDFs and things like that, just attach them just like you do to an email, and it'll help you out that way. So you got to search around a little bit for the data set you want, and then you can prompt engineer whatever you want it to say and just keep working with it. Keep working with it. It eventually, like I said, it'll learn what you want. The other day I put in a request for, it was a teaching innovation, something I was working on, and it said to me, this may be a good idea for your consumer behavior class. Yes, it would. I didn't tell it that. It just knew that over time, as I've been talking to it, this may be a good idea for that class. Yes, it was. So, AI is good for that every once in a while.
Sarah Jane says that she's concerned about the environmental impact of
Yeah,
AI. Great
yeah.
amounts of energy and resources are being used to required to run it. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I am too. I am too. As much of a cheerleader as I am for it, I certainly recognize that. Thankfully, I'm a part of a church that, a denomination that cares heavily about stewardship, creation, care. So again, we are able to at least have a voice in that and get involved with the entities that have some sort of control over it. Um, but again, there's that moral compass that I truly, honestly believe that the United Methodist Church can be a voice of leadership in that, and that goes along with all of our friends on the call from United Women in Faith. I'm a member of that too, and we are very much into energy and justice for energy and those types of things. So we're in the right circles to make a difference.
I have unmuted Larry Owsley. He has a question for you as well.
Yeah.
Thank you for offering this. This is very exciting. One caution I would suggest is be careful about questions of depth. I have tested it in terms of biblical knowledge, for example,
Mm-hmm.
and it
Mm-hmm.
can go wide, but asking it questions that get beyond a high school or even college level of interpreting the Bible, it seems to be lost. Although I use generally Bing, Copilot, Gemini, or ChatGPT. Are there any you think would do better at depth knowledge, say, of the Bible or even theology than these more textually
Mm-hmm.
oriented ones?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, thanks, Larry. That's a really good question, especially relevant for this call. Um, I think for now, while ChatGPT, I'll just use them for example, because like you mentioned that one, the free version is not going to be as good as that pro version. Unfortunately, that's going to cost some money for a while. But they've said they're going to make like that $200 version I mentioned. Some of those features are going to be available on the lower version eventually. So, so I totally see what you're saying. And that even brings about how important it is that your expertise is still there, and not to rely totally on AI, because like you said, it'll hallucinate, it'll take you down a hole you may not get out of, and it may not be correct, but it's correct because you've had the training and you've got the knowledge to know what's right and what scripture is and those types of things. So um people will say, you're going to talk yourself out of a job. You've got that chat bot on there and they're not going to need you anymore. And I said, you know what? I'm the one that's got the expertise. So we have become even more important. The human has become even more important in this whole realm. So the one that I mentioned earlier, Claude tends to be a little more expressive. That might be one you may want to look into and see what it does. I have not tried biblical interpretation on Claude, but I think it'll get better. But again, I hope all of us will continue to give our expertise to give this some context. Absolutely.
And Larry, I would chime in just real quickly.
Please.
Um, when you do a prompt, especially in Chat GPT, I would encourage you, like she was talking about engineering your prompts. One of the things that Ben and I did on our podcast was, well, we didn't do it on the podcast. We just did it to test it out, and it was to explain. the Trinity to I think we said an 8-year-old, to a high school student, and to a seminary student.
Yeah.
And the depth really showed up when you gave that prompt to give it a little more
Mhm.
details in there. And
Yeah.
I do agree with Claude. The company is Anthropic.
Yes.
It does a great job with good prompting
Mhm.
to dive a little bit deeper as well.
Yeah.
Let's see.
That's
We
why.
got about. Oh,
Yeah.
go ahead.
No,
Go.
I was just going to say that's why those prompt engineers, it's funny because one would think that the people that are getting those prompt engineering jobs are computer scientists and things like that, and they are. But you know who's really getting those jobs are the English majors because they know
Absolutely.
how to manipulate, not just manipulate, but form, expression and all of those things. So prompt engineering, that's where it's at. Yeah. And it's something you got to practice for sure. There's a lot of tutorials out there on it that get fairly, detailed. So I would definitely look into that further.
Let's do one more, and then we'll wrap up here. And this is Reverend Andy Ferguson said, "What about the moral dilemma? My expectation is that ministry, preaching, pastoral care are a personal interaction between pastor and parishioner. Can AI be a tool without turning us into robots?"
I hope so. Um, I yes. So like we mentioned with the AI Jesus, there's a time and a place for that in there. So, I just, okay. So my background, my PhD is in human ecology. And so that is the science of how humans interact with our environments, whether those environments are digital or physical or whatever. And that's why I get into consumer behavior and then thus marketing and those types of things. But so I'm very interested in how humans relate to each other and where, so there is a time and a place for an AI Jesus, and I truly believe that we can reach more people that way. What if we can? I think we can. But no, there is no substitute, and I'm fully convinced that the robot situation, though scary, though a little, out there for a lot of us, the human is still the winner. And I tell that to my students all the time and I truly believe in the power of the human and what we can do. Yes, there are going to be some evil, horrible things that people will do, but that's true with any technology. We can do, take that all the way back to radio and TV and all kinds of electricity. Because if you have electricity, you have electrocutions. I mean, you can do anything with a technology. So, but I'm fully convinced that it will not take us over. It's not going to take our soul.
Well, Kelly, I really appreciate this, and I think this has been a wonderful intro to AI. So the next thing will be when you're ready to come back and teach us 201, 301, and 401.
2.0 and prompt engineering all the way, right?
That's right. That's right. So thank you so much for being a part of this. And I also want to say thank you to everyone that attended. I will take the recording. It'll take it a little bit of time to render, but I will send that out to each of you either later tonight or in the morning. And again, thanks for being a part of this. Kelly, thanks for enlightening us, and I'm looking forward to whatever we decide to do next.
That sounds good. Thank you all so much. I appreciate it. It was really fun. Thank you.